going to talk a little bit about my passion for cars and how it started and how it kind of fits with the life that I have as mostly a country doctor all my life. I've invited along the guys that helped me maintain the cars. Keith and his son Ben might be here, maybe not.
I'm not sure.
Ken and Ben and Keith are Robbins Mechanical and Islander Road, a father and son team. I'm not here to push the business, but I'm here to honour and acknowledge them for what they do, because when I came here I wanted to find a mechanic that doesn't need a computer to know what's wrong with a car, because all the cars I love are from the 50s and 60s and 70s and they don't have computers. You're treating them with stethoscopes and by ear and gut instinct, and Ben and Keith have done me proud. When I left New Zealand 6 years ago, which I initially thought was just going to be a couple of years, I had a 9-car collection at home in a big spread out garage, and so we locked it all up and came over here, and Carol reconnected with her Australian roots, and I came to love not having to plan my life around the weather. Keith, you might just turn that down. You could just go up and turn up on the switchboard hanging down. I learned to love the people and the place, as long as I can get home to New Zealand about 3 or 4 times a year. And so I sold off 5 of the ones that I felt I could do without, and I started collecting here initially with the wee TR3 up there, which we'll drop down and look at later, and some of you have seen on runs, and then the old sickness came back and I just carried on. But I don't feel guilty about it anymore. You know, I've been made to feel guilty over the years because I love old cars and I use my income as a doctor to buy them, and then I sell them and I have to pay a tax bill or something like that. And now the kids are off my hand, I don't have to sell quite so many. But what you're looking at is my superannuation. And if you think of what happened on the news last week, where the Australian market lost 45 bill in 1 week, which is where all our super is normally kept, you know, you can see why I put some of it in the cars. Ben, come on in. I mentioned the father and son. This is Ben. Ben's the A-grade mechanic, Robbins Mechanical. Dad is the Victorian farmer come engineer come jack of all trades.
South Australian.
South Australian, sorry mate. So let's make a restart. Yesterday I discovered that I can get 10 cars in here because the Volvo arrived and Carol was saying, where are you going to put it all? And I said, I don't know, something will happen. So I sort of thought 3-dimensionally, and I thought if I can get 3 little cars in a line, that's equivalent to 2 big ones. And I measured up here and I measured up my littlest cars, and I was 500 short, and then I thought if I have them on an angle, so the Mini quickly got pushed out of here as soon as we arrived. So we'll start talking about the Mini Cooper. It's my one modern classic. I had a Mini Cooper back in the 70s, as some of us were lucky enough to do, or ordinary BMC Minis. This is the German Recreation. I don't like modern cars because depreciation is the single biggest cost of motoring, as you all know. We bought a Corando in 2012 when we arrived, a SsangYong, 35 grand with all the extras, and 2 years later 9 on a trade, so we didn't, we've still got it. But I picked this Mini Cooper because I love performance, I love handling, and I like to have one car that'll do that, even though the road police here won't let you go fast, because we don't have the radar detectors here like we all have in New Zealand. But this Mini Cooper is one called a Coupe, and I picked it as a long-term collectible because I only made it for 2 years, from 2012 to 2014. When you look at it you think, oh, I think it's a Mini, but it looks different to any other Mini I've seen. It's because they've lowered the roof line about 17 centimetres and raked the screen back, and it's a strict 2-seater with a hatchback. But it's got the top mechanical spec in it, the John Cooper Works. There's the Mini Cooper, there's the Cooper S, and then there's the John Cooper Works, which is the real full noise one, and of course that's the one I had to get. So that's my work car, that's the tax deductible bit of the connection, and I take it to work a couple of days a week.
And it's got
my father-in-law's number plate, John Charles Warner, and he was a Kiwi.
Yeah.
No, really?
Ben, if you could just open up the doors and just let, if you want to have a quick, I know it's out in the warm, but as soon as you've had a quick look at that, Ben will just pop it down the driveway and we'll start just quietly talking and wheeling them out. This came from New Zealand, and it's a lovely story. Carol calls this one Uncle Joe
because my Uncle Joe picked us up at Mungar Station when I was 13 years old, my twin and I. We were coming down to stay with Mum's sister, and Uncle Joe picked us up in a little palish blue one, kind of this colour, bluey grey colour, the original colour. And he smoked pipe tobacco. Anyway, I don't know how long he'd been sitting in the lorry before he picked us up, but he opened the door as we come out the station and the smoke just poured out, and I can still smell it just talking about it, this wine tobacco. And when we saw this, I just thought, oh my God, Uncle Joe, and it just took me back to it, so she's been called Uncle Joe ever since.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. She's immaculate. She got second prize.
Want to tell me?
No. Well, they didn't really know anything either.
Well, they say they don't know. I think, having researched all the numbers, I personally feel
Gone up from a 900 to 1,000.
it's an older restoration. It's getting a little bit scruffy inside because Carol flogs it to death. But it's got a bigger motor too, so it's great on the open road. It's actually got a Morris 1100 motor, which we found out when we were putting the clutch in it, because we bought the Mori 1000 motor because I knew it was a bigger motor, and Ben said, no mate, this doesn't work. And then Ben identified it, I think, as 1100.